Hi, this is Alonzo Bodden. I want to welcome you to episode 300 of my podcast, Who's Paying Attention? That's right, this is episode 300. I know there's been some confusion on the numbering, and probably the biggest confusion was mine, numbering them wrong. But just so we're all on the same page, this is episode 300. I wish I could tell you it was an epic game changer at the big number 300, but it's just another episode. But I thank you for listening, and long-term listeners, new listeners, friends of friends who are listening, all of you checking out my opinions, my jokes. I appreciate it. I just went over 40,000 on Twitter followers. For me, that's a hell of a lot. And thank you. I know some people have millions, and I was going to say and so forth, which would be a reference to my man George Wallace, who has over 800,000 followers, by the way, and you should be one of them. George is hilarious, and he's got a book coming out with his tweets, so I'm going to be talking about that soon. I have some cool stuff coming up in December. I'm going to be doing a talk show on Zoom, which is part of the Nowhere Comedy Club, and that's going to be on December 18th, and I'll talk about it when it gets closer. But just thank you guys. Honestly, I just appreciate it. I love what I do. We are in a weird time. Obviously, all my live stuff for December has been canceled, so I hope to get back out in January. Just finished a weekend in Arlington, Virginia. It was great. Crowds were small. Crowds. I mean, the groups were small. It's, we're in a surge all over the country, and coronavirus surge is causing people to stay home, which is a good idea. And I get it, and we just got to deal with it. I'm going to talk about that more later. I just wanted to say welcome to episode 300, and thank you. Now, I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. Can we get Trump out from behind his little baby desk? I know you saw him behind that baby desk, which is hilarious. And at the same time, get him to shut up. This election thing has gone on long enough. The accusations of fraud and fake votes and fake ballots and all, it's been disproven on every level. Even his own people, Republicans are turning on him. Fox News turned on him. Judges that he appointed, his conservative judges, are throwing the cases out of court. They're like, when you come to court, you might want to bring evidence. Now, of course, Baby Hands doesn't understand that. He's sitting up here, his latest whine, rant, whatever. He thinks he should be able to take his case to the Supreme Court simply because he's president. That's the only, not because it's been turned down in lower courts and worked its way up to the Supreme Court. No, he just thinks because he was president, quote, it's very hard to get a case up there. Can you imagine Donald Trump, president of the United States, files a case and I probably can't get a case? We should be heard by the Supreme Court. Something has to be able to get up there. Otherwise, what is the Supreme Court? Well, the Supreme Court is not your own personal court. He just doesn't understand that. No, the Supreme Court doesn't work for you. And you can't just whine and cry and say, I want to take my case to the Supreme Court. I'm the president. It doesn't work that way. Is there anyone who's vaguely familiar with the Constitution around this guy? Once again, can we just show him a few episodes of Schoolhouse Rock so he will understand how the government works? Now, you think it's just him, but his followers, his cult, it's amazing. So I told you, I was in Arlington, Virginia, and I actually witnessed this, and it's almost fascinating, the disconnect from reality. And this is where I don't get into these arguments, because you're not going to change these people's minds with truth or logic or anything. But I was at the coffee shop in the hotel. I'm waiting to get coffee, and they had CNN on. And there was a CNN reporter talking to a Republican, I think it was a congressperson, I don't know, but they were basically saying, will you admit that Biden is president-elect and that Trump has lost? And the guy was hemming and hawing, and she said, Well, the courts have said there's no evidence of voter fraud, and the people who bring these lawsuits have brought no evidence to the court, et cetera, et cetera. Judges are getting angry now at their time being wasted and just admit Trump lost. And this guy who's watching it in the coffee shop without a mask, by the way, what is it with white men not wearing masks? Those are the only ones I see not wearing masks repeatedly. But anyway, he just turns and says, she's crazy. Yeah, she's the one who's crazy. That's what they think, that she's crazy. Now, she talked about the voters and the judges and the courts and everyone saying there's no voter fraud. And they're like, well, you're crazy. Of course there's fraud. Why? Because we just want to believe it? I don't know. But it's fascinating to watch the disconnect of the cult members when faced with truth. The the lies, the continual lies, the continual nonsense. Kayleigh McEnany, who is one of the liars, and this was just funny because it's always funny when they lie for no reason. So people have been talking about Joe Biden's communication team is all women. And, that's unprecedented. All female White House press team, blah, blah, blah. So of course, McEnany comes out and claims that Trump already had an all female White House press team. And that's just not true. I mean, 2 of her deputies are men. They're 2, Judd Deere and Brian Morgenstern. Pence, his press secretary is a man. Like, these are the lies. You don't even have to work to prove they're lying, yet they still run with the lie. It's amazing. I don't understand it, but hey, they do what they got to do. So anyway, so she's still at it. Mitch McConnell, this is a guy, listen, I hope Georgia flips the Senate. I hope it happens because this guy has to be stopped. Now, if you remember, back when Barack Obama was president, Mitch McConnell said his only job, the Senate's only job, was to make sure that Barack Obama was a one-term president, which they failed at, by the way. But nothing to do with making America better, stronger, helping people. No. His only job was to make sure that Barack Obama was a one-term president. Now, his goal, his thing, since Trump lost, is, of course, to make Biden look bad. And the plan to do it is sabotaging the economy, try to tank the economy under a Democratic president, and then have him blamed. So there was another bailout bill from a bipartisan group of congressional leaders. Bipartisan means Democrats and Republicans working together. I know you might not know the meaning of that because it never happens, but it did happen. So a bipartisan group of congressional leaders proposed a coronavirus relief bill worth about $900 billion to rescue the economy. As we know, lockdowns are coming back. People are staying home. More people are sick, etc., etc., etc. McConnell says we don't have time to waste time. What the hell does that even mean? What the hell does that mean? You found time to put a handmaiden on the Supreme Court. That only took you 3 weeks. But a bill that could bail out millions of people, help them pay their bills, help them avoid foreclosures, maybe help them buy food. There've been food banks with waiting times of hours and hours, people waiting, trying to get some food from the food bank, but you don't have time to waste time because you want the economy to look bad under Biden. It would be funny if it wasn't so real. It would be funny if it wasn't horrific to people who are actually suffering. What a scumbag McConnell is. And you know what? This didn't work before and it won't work again. It won't work again. But this was his strategy. This is what he's trying to do. and this is who they are. So, yeah, there's that. And then there's just the ridiculous, inane right wing. Candace Owens. Okay, here's my thing with Candace Owens. Can you take the holidays off, Candace? Can you just shut up for the next 4 weeks? Just give us December. It's Christmas time. Just shut the fuck up. So her latest thing, Harry Styles, singer, was on the cover of Vogue wearing a ruffled top, looked like a dress, whatever, and he's Candace Owens, bring back manly men. Okay, Candace, first of all, let the man wear whatever he wants. What difference does it make to you? What difference does it make in your life what Harry Styles wears on the cover of a Vogue magazine? Absolutely none. Now, bring back manly men. What kind of manly men? Remember, this is the Candace Owens who feels George Floyd deserved to be murdered. Okay, just keep in mind what piece of garbage she is. But anyway, which manly men do you want? Do you want the founding fathers? You love them. Perhaps we'll wear the powdered wigs that they wore. Would that be manly enough for you? Sorry about the dog barking in the background. Completely untrained dog that a neighbor has. Barks like crazy whenever another dog walks by. And I'm going to be talking about dogs a little later. But anyway, do you want those manly men in the powdered wigs? Or strong, physical black men? No, you think it's okay for the police to kill them. So exactly which manly men would you like, Candace? Candace, just for a month, shut up. Let us enjoy. We're gearing up for our war on Christmas. So let us enjoy that. Can you let us just enjoy our war on Christmas for a month? Shut your mouth, Candace. Ugh. I'm sorry, but she is so ridiculous. And it just, I'm talking about her, so I'm as guilty as anyone. But you just wish they didn't have to cover people like her. All right, listen. 2020, okay? 2020 has been a tough year for all of us. And I have a new sponsor who's going to help you, okay? It's called BetterHelp.com. That's BetterHelp.com. And you're going to go to BetterHelp.com/Alonzo and you're going to get a deal. Now listen, what is BetterHelp about? It's about counseling. It's about getting some help. Listen, it has been a tough year for all of us. You have to look at what's interfering with your happiness, okay? Is something preventing you from achieving your goals? I read a great quote. It said, your body can do it, but now you have to convince your mind. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You'll have contact in a safe, private, online environment, okay? And you can start communicating in under 24 hours. Not self-help, professional counseling. I have had therapists. I've been in therapy at various times. It works. It helps. When you have a mental block, when you're going through some heavy emotional change, when you're, just sometimes the stress of life. Listen, we got to lose the shame over mental health. Okay, mental health is real. Mental health problems are real. And mental health professionals can help. Talking to someone who knows what they're talking about helps. Okay, there's a broad range of expertise available. Licensed professional counselors who are specialists in things like depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, self-esteem. I mean, these are real issues. Anything you share is confidential. Again, you're doing it directly with a therapist online, so it's convenient, professional, and affordable. BetterHelp works. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. I want you to start living a happier life. You want to start living a happier life. As a listener, you get 10% off your first month by visiting my sponsor at betterhelp.com/Alonzo. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/Alonzo. 10% off for your first month. This is real. This helps. All joking aside, I like to joke about everything, but when it comes to your mental health, when it comes to understanding something you're going through that you haven't been through before, or you're just not feeling right, whatever it might be, talk to a professional. There is no shame in this. There's privacy. It's a direct connection. You're going to be okay. You're going to do better. All right? Check out betterhelp.com. Thank you. Getting back to the podcast, because, yeah. I laugh because the things going on, it honestly, the comedy writes itself. Speaking from his baby desk, and who is it in the Trump administration that has this sense of humor that does things like put him behind that little tiny desk? Apparently, there's a bit of a Trump speech that may have come from the movie Legally Blonde. Remember Legally Blonde? Yeah, in the movie, Reese Witherspoon's character, Elle Woods, she's given a speech. And she said, quote, "We take our next steps into the world. It is with passion, courage of conviction, and most importantly, have faith in yourself. We did it." Now, here's a Trump speech. "You must go forth into the world. Passion, courage in your conviction. Most importantly, be true to yourself. I did it." Well, you watched Legally Blonde. When will they learn that media doesn't go away? I've said it before, the internet doesn't go away. If you do something like this, they're going to find you. So yeah, I could write a speech, or I could just write a movie. Okay, I talked some about the coronavirus spiking. We're all aware of that. People travel because they need to. They have to. Be responsible, people. This is what I was saying about not wearing a mask, not caring. A couple from Hawaii was arrested after boarding a flight because they were tested positive for coronavirus. Okay, a couple from Wailea, Kauai, was arrested on suspicion of reckless endangerment after getting on a flight traveling from San Francisco because they had both tested positive. This is the next thing. This is what's going to happen. And this is, this happened, I was reading, this happened when the AIDS crisis, before people really knew, what we know now, etc. But there were people who were arrested because they were knowingly transmitting AIDS. They had AIDS, and they were having sex, unprotected sex, and with numerous people, and spreading the disease. And some got arrested for it. And this is maybe what we need to do with the coronavirus. Now, it's a tough one, but if you know you're positive and you go to a public place, you get on an airplane, then you're spreading it, knowingly spreading it. You're a horrible person, you're irresponsible, but it's also, you're putting people's lives at risk. People die from this. It's real. There are still those, it ain't real. Shut up. We're past that, okay? It's real. So, good. They got arrested. Maybe that'll scare the next person. Listen, nobody wants to quarantine. Nobody wants to stay at home or in a hotel room or whatever for 14 days. But you know what people really don't want to do? They don't want to be in the hospital. They don't want to be on a ventilator, and they don't want to die. So let's take this seriously again. Sorry the podcast gets heavy now and then, but this is real. This is real. Stop it. It's reckless endangerment of lives. It's illegal to do. And now someone's been arrested for it. And I hope the case sticks. I honestly do. I told you I was going to talk about dogs. Now let me say this up front. And I'm not saying this to qualify or anything. I'm telling you the truth. I love dogs. I love dogs. Dogs are fantastic companions, pets, animals. I tried to have a dog 2 different points in my life. My schedule does not allow it. Too much travel, too much work. I've been home the past few months. I've thought about it a few times. Man, I should get a dog. But I'm going to be going back to work. I'm going to be traveling, and it's not fair to leave the dog at a dog sitter or even worse, people who leave their dog at home with no company for hours and hours and all day. And so I'm not going to do anything like that. But my point being, I love dogs. My brother, sadly, had to put his dog down after 13 years, and Theo was just, it was more than a friend. Everyone was like, oh, that was his kid. That was his kid. It was like they were inseparable. It's really sad to go through something like that. So my point being, I'm not anti-pet. I'm not anti-dog. I'm anti-bad pet owner. I'm anti-irresponsible, uncaring dog owner. Listen, the world is not a dog park. You can't just bring your dog everywhere, especially if they're not trained. And this is a step toward that. The Department of Transportation just announced a major revision to the Air Carrier Access Act, the ACAA. There's too many letters. I can't keep up with all the acts. Talking about traveling by air with service animals. And the final ruling goes into effect in 30 days. Emotional support animals will no longer be considered service animals. That's right. Your emotional support peacock can't get on the plane. Your emotional support, whatever you got, can't get on the plane. They can travel as pets, but they cannot travel as service animals. Service animals are specifically trained to perform a service. That's the difference. That's what makes something a service animal. A service animal is trained. I'm looking for the exact, A service animal is defined as one that is, quote, individually trained to do work or perform tasks for the benefit of a person with a disability. The task may be physical, sensory, psychiatric, intellectual, or other mental disabilities. There are service dogs that, for people who have seizures. I mean, obviously, we see guide dogs for the blind, but there are other services dogs provide that may not be obvious. But the dogs are trained. It's not just my emotional support. I watched a woman with 2 little dogs trying to get on a plane. The dogs weren't trained, and she's trying to get them to go through the metal detector. It was just a mess. We've heard about the emotional support miniature horse someone brought on a plane. Okay, stop it. If you need an emotional support miniature horse, maybe you do. Then maybe you shouldn't be flying. Maybe you got to drive. Sorry. But what about, it's about consideration. And what we've lost in our society is consideration for other people, the mere thought of other people. This came up the other day. A lot of things in my life seem to have come up the other day. So this came up, and this is just a thought I had. We talk about empathy. And that's a big jump for Americans, because we're still, we're so caught up in hating each other and yelling at each other. Maybe empathy, maybe to actually understand the feelings of another person. Maybe that's too much. Maybe we should just aim for consideration. Just acknowledge that you are not the only person on earth. Maybe we can just start there. No empathy. No, it's too far. It's too big a jump. No, let's just acknowledge other people exist. So before you bring your dog anywhere, and I saw an Airedale in it, and you know how big an Airedale is? An Airedale's a big dog. Walking through the grocery store, I saw a husky laying in the aisle at Ralph's, just laying in the aisle. Listen, service animals are trained. They work, and people need them, and that's okay. The emotional support animal, I'm not saying that they're unnecessary. I'm saying a lot of people have bullshit emotional support paperwork or whatever, and they just want to bring their dog everywhere. Listen, you love your dog, that's fine, but acknowledge there may be places that your dog isn't welcome. Maybe your dog makes other people nervous in these places. Maybe it's a sanitary issue. Not saying your dog is dirty, not saying your dog's a filthy animal. Probably as many human filthy animals as dogs, but not saying, but there's health codes and things like that. So maybe out of consideration for other people, you shouldn't bring your dog everywhere you go. And they're saying that if you want to travel with your emotional support animal, it should be treated as a pet, not as a service animal. I'm okay with that. To file this under, I don't know, Captain Obvious? Again, there are scientists and scientific studies that I'm like, how much money you guys spend on something you could have just asked anyone? The environmental protection agencies found that rolling coal is bad for us. Rolling coal is bad for the environment. Have you seen rolling coal? Are you familiar with this? This is one of these crazy redneck phenomena. What they do is they actually somehow modify the exhaust on pickup trucks, mainly diesel trucks, to blow out more smoke. They blow out this heavy black smoke, and they call it rolling coal. They think it's funny to, drive up next to somebody riding their bicycle and just choke them to death with black smoke, or they like to bully Tesla drivers. Listen, Tesla drivers ain't my favorite people, but I ain't saying to blow heavy diesel smoke on them. So they get these exhaust modifications, and they just pump out these clouds of black smoke. Now, somebody said a global respiratory pandemic is the worst time to find out there's massive cheating by the makers of these devices. Yeah, of course they're cheating the EPA standards. But it also has to do with the fact that trucks don't get tested the same as cars, and the bigger your truck is, the regulations change, et cetera, et cetera. If you're rolling coal, you're an asshole. I didn't even mean for that to rhyme, but it did. But the EPA had to study this to figure out that heavy black smoke blowing out of a truck is bad for the environment. They could have asked me. I would have told them. I'd have said, hey, let's save some study money. Heavy black smoke is bad for the air. The air is what we breathe. And then they could have given me the $14 million or whatever they paid for that, because, it was a government study. Under the broad division of Captain Obvious, Steve Adler is the mayor of Austin, Texas. And Steve Adler said, we need to stay home if you can. This is not the time to relax. We may have to close things down if we are not careful. What Adler didn't say is that he was live streaming this from a Mexican resort in Cabo San Lucas. Okay, that's not how you do it. You don't go to Cabo San Lucas and tell the people they have to stay home. Are you listening, Gavin Newsom? Gavin, I don't wear a mask at a restaurant, but we're going to close your restaurant? Yeah, you know, Governor of California. These clowns, these politicians, these do as I say but don't do as I do, just stop it. Stop it. Okay, you don't live stream. I mean, what kind of... The disconnect is mind-blowing. I'm going to live stream from a resort in Mexico saying, you better stay home. And if you don't stay home, I'm going to change the rules. Well, not my rules, just your rules. Can we say that again in Espanol? Or perhaps while sipping a margarita? Jesus. On the subject of coronavirus, my guy, the GOAT, Lewis Hamilton, greatest Formula One driver of all time, I will stand by that, has tested positive, and he's not going to be driving this weekend. So that kind of sucks. He seems to be okay symptom-wise, but he has tested positive, and he won't be driving. So, Lewis, I hope you hope you get better, because you're my guy. There's 2 more races this season. I'd love to see you in one of them. Finally, and I say finally like I couldn't keep going. I could. But I want to talk about this guy because this I think this story is very cool. I actually like this story. Ernie Garcia is a billionaire. And Ernie Garcia just bought a house in Manhattan Beach, which is a South Bay, south of LA, for $18 million. And the property isn't even about the house. The $18 million is for the land. They're going to destroy the house that's on there. They're going to build another one. But this is why I like this guy. And this is why this guy, Ernie Garcia, is interesting to me. I don't know if you remember Ugly Duckling Rent-A-Car. There used to be a company called Ugly Duckling Rent-A-Car, and they rented these old beat-up used cars. It might be, $9 or $10 a day. And they were around in a few places. They were in LA. I think they were up in Seattle. I don't know if they were everywhere, but it was a brand. And I never knew what happened to it. It just kind of went away. Well, Ugly Duckling went bankrupt in 1991. And Ernie Garcia, a convicted felon, convicted of bank fraud charges. I don't know exactly what the charges were. This story didn't go into exactly what he did. But anyway, he'd been arrested for bank fraud. He somehow bought the assets of Ugly Duckling. It doesn't say where he got the money. I don't know how you go from from bank fraud to buying this bankrupt company. But here's the part that's interesting. He built a company called Drive Time. We've all seen Drive Time ads. You've seen those pink license plate frames on used cars. Drive Time is the largest privately owned used car sales and finance company in the nation. More than 125 dealerships, over 4,000 employees, and they do $4 billion in annual revenue. They've also founded a company called Carvana. You've been seeing these commercials for Carvana, the online car sales. To me, that's amazing and very cool. He bought Ugly Duckling Rent-A-Car, and in the past, I guess 30 years, since 1991, which would be when they were bankrupt, he's built a multi-billion-dollar car business. That's American dream shit right there. What's his last name? Oh, Garcia. I don't know his background, but I'm guessing he is Latinx because his name is Garcia, and I love that. But I just like this story. That I remember Ugly Duckling Rent-A-Car places. I've seen Drive Time again. I've seen those pink license plate frames everywhere. And now they started Carvana. So yes, sir, you have earned an $18 million beach house. Good for you. Good for you. I hope it's right down the street from some Republican crazy, some bitch, build a wall. Listen, who's moving in? The Garcias. I love that. Good for you, sir, and the work you've done. I don't know what kind of bank fraud you committed. You served your time. You got out. I don't know how you got the money to buy Ugly Duckling Rent-A-Car. Maybe it was bankrupt. Maybe you bought it for $1. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. And I just admire that. Wow. He should call Trump and say, hey, guess what? I really am a billionaire. Trump's looking at a little problem with Deutsche Bank. Apparently he owes them a few $100 million. And once you're out of the White House, you got to pay up. Now, we know Trump has been started giving away pardons. I don't even want to get into all of that. I honestly don't. I don't know where I'm going to be this holiday season, but I'm trying. Am I looking for positivity? Yeah. I'm looking for funny? Yeah. This weekend, I'm going to be outside. I'm going to be in Irvine, behind the Irvine Improv, doing a drive-in show. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm still doing a lot of Zooms. Now, this late night talk show, we're working on it right now. I'm going to have George Wallace is going to be a guest, my mentor and brilliant comic. Robert Glasper, one of the most brilliant musicians. Glasper does jazz, hip-hop, R&B. He's up for another R&B Grammy this year. He's already won 2 of them. I think he's won 1 in jazz, 1 in R&B. He's won Emmys. He's amazing and very cool. I'm going to have them as guests. We're working on sketches right now. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be on nowherecomedy.club.com on December 18th, and we're putting it together. And between now and then, I'll let you know what I'm doing. It's all Zoom. It's all virtual until January. I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving, whether you saw your family live or through Zoom, or you just hung out quietly somewhere by yourself or with a significant other. However you did it, I hope it was great. I hope you enjoyed the 4 Black Fridays we had. Did anyone notice every Friday in November was called Black Friday? I don't even know how that worked, but hope you got some shopping done. Cyber Monday, maybe you did. I missed out. I was supposed to get this Wi-Fi extender thing on Cyber Monday, and I forgot to click buy. I hate how Amazon does that. You forget to click, you put it in the cart, and you forget to buy it, and then the next day the price goes up. So I'm going to wait. I got a feeling the price is going to drop again. Maybe the pre-Christmas, after Christmas sale. Listen, if we can have Black Friday every Friday in November, why can't we have after Christmas sales every Saturday in December? I'm just saying. Why do we have to wait till after Christmas for the after Christmas sale? I vote we have pre-Christmas, after Christmas sales. All right? Just saying. It's an idea. You'll see it out there, and I won't make a dime on it. I hope you stay safe. I hope you wear your mask. I hope you travel with common sense, and I wish you the best. This is Alonzo Bodden. 300 episodes and still asking the question, who's paying attention? And you know who is? You are. And I thank you for it.